here's the building electrical upgrades. That's where the main power comes in. But it's just notating that we have some serious issues with some of the electrical in the building. It hasn't been updated really since the 1959 work that was done on the building. This is the crawl space. Now I know many of you have not been in the crawl space, but it's under this building. And one of the things that contributes to some of the air quality issues we have is the crawl space, because we've got this underneath the building. So we want to address that through some possible encapsulation or some ventilation. Window well, water infiltration. If you don't go down in the basement, you probably don't see these window wells. We've got 4 of them down there and a couple in the bathroom. And they're really way past their useful life. They've cracked, we have water coming in, the cells are filling up. There's a little bit of mildew growing in those. This is not a good situation. This is an urgent need. Exterior paint and trim. Some of the windows have been have aluminum trim on them or cladding on them, but there still is a lot of wood, and it is starting to rot. So again, we have to address that. Condensing unit replacement. We're at 20 years on these condensing units. It also has old Freon, which we can't really get anymore. So this is another really potential urgent need. Dishwasher replacement, we took that out several years ago. We've got a hole in the wall here. We need to replace that. Parking lot replacement, I'm sure everybody is aware of the situation out there. We've got potholes, and it is really beyond its repair. This is a total replacement. This is a big, big number. So all these deferred maintenance issues, they really need to be addressed for 2 key reasons. Obviously, it's safety and integrity and the future usefulness of the building. And really to ensure the investment that our hard working, trailblazing founders left the building for us to take care of. So due diligence. I just wanted to touch on the hard work over the last 18 months that the building committee has done to address a lot of the facilities issues that you just saw. As I mentioned, we've worked on some of the water infiltration. We really started at the top and have been working our way down. We addressed some of the roof issues, the gutters were clogged. We looked at the basement. We did a remediation project. We cleaned the ductwork. We rerouted some of the ductwork where it was actually impeded the airflow. So we really tried to work at some of the immediate things that were causing some air quality issues and some really urgent water infiltration issues. We've worked with dozens of contractors that have walked through here to evaluate the building from an environmental standpoint, from an HVAC standpoint, plumbing, electrical, you name it, we've had them through here. So we just haven't had one person look at this. There have been many eyes on the facility. And they've given us a lot of estimates. It's just not one estimate for this. So what we've done is the building committee has looked at the plans and the bids and vetted the contractors and developed the deferred maintenance plan and budget. This is an eye chart, but it's in your folder that you're gonna go home with tonight. But basically, each of those items had a number, and most of those are hard numbers. So we're talking at least $376,000 in deferred maintenance for the items that you just saw. So Lynn, at one of our recent member meetings, talked about the financial challenges that the club has. And the maintenance has often been deferred, as I mentioned. And membership fees and the fundraising and the facility rentals are relied on to really pay for those deferred maintenance items and just keeping the building running. And it really takes $71,000 to really keep the lights on and keep the building running. So those things pay for things like insurance, security, phone, Wi-Fi, all of those things. So there's little left to pay for the building maintenance items that I just mentioned. And there's really no large fund to pay for a major failure of the building infrastructure. So say a big HVAC unit goes out, we really have to think long and hard about where we're gonna get that resource to pay for that. So clearly we need a long-term solution and a more sustainable building model to increase the annual revenue to pay for that. So we've got some revenue boosting strategies, possibly for that. And one is, although we've been working long and hard on this, our current membership is, increase in membership is 128. We've got 4 honorary members, 1 courtesy member, and we just did a little math. I hope you can see the numbers here. If we did, just a 25% increase, we could get maybe another $30,000 a year. 50%, maybe $36,000. 100%, and this would be at the current $200 a year. This isn't assuming that we would have chandelier members. This is just the $200 fee. So the 100% increase would be $47,000. We could increase membership dues, and I know that's not a preferred solution, but the yield is rather small. A 10% increase is $3,200 a year. A 15% is $4,800, and the 20% would be $6,400. So really, we might want to look at increasing the venue rental income. And this solution could really maybe be a viable path for sustaining a healthy model for our club. And we could grow the number of rental bookings by doing that and increase all of the types of events that we host right now. So as I mentioned, increasing the membership, probably not a good situation. It would help, but it wouldn't be enough to cover the costs. Increased dues, not preferred. How do we increase the venue rentals? That looks like really a path for a financial sustainability. So coincidentally, Perfect Venue, which is the rental website that we're looking at right now and using, Lisa's using this and the team is using this. When people look at our website, Perfect Venue comes up. They talk about what is the perfect venue, what are good amenities to have for renting a site. So to make a good, beautiful building, you have to be more competitive, and people are looking for unique spaces like ours, but they expect certain amenities, right? And these are some of the things that they're looking for. And we have a lot of these, but they may not be in the right condition. So obviously they're looking for parking and restrooms. I thought it was interesting that they're looking for a stage. In our plan, Lisa and some of the other people that were on the building renovation committee, one of our early plans talked about possibly getting rid of the stage. So I'll be happy to report that that's not the case right now. So the accessibility is obviously on there. So let's move on. This is very small, but in the red, I'm hoping that you can see some of these items. These are the things that we believe that our clubhouse does not really support very well. And again, this is what Perfect Venue is talking about as expectations for a good rental site. A well-equipped caterer's kitchen. Probably not something that our site necessarily addresses. Safe and ample parking. We probably have ample parking, but not necessarily safe. Enough well-maintained restrooms for all guests. We know that's probably a hard no. ADA compliance. Certainly our front door is not warm and welcoming and not really very accessible. And then high quality audiovisual. I mean, you saw maybe how I struggled tonight to get this working, so we really probably don't check the box there. This is about competition and potential, and again, there's a lot of information on this site, but I just want to point out that we're up against some strong competition in the marketplace. In the greater Milwaukee area, there's at least 170 meeting venues, 185 party venues, and 145 wedding venues. So not that we want to think of ourselves necessarily as a wedding venue. We've been hosting a lot of different rentals. We had a big realtor kind of event here yesterday. There were 120 people here, so it's been used for many different functions, showers. There's going to be a birthday party here. So what this slide is really trying to show is that we're moving in the right direction. We had Noble Catering up until August of last year, and we're now managing that rental in-house, and we're moving great with the rentals, but we need some work yet on having a good venue to rent. In this slide, it's really again showing the top trends in rental venues, and I'm just going to focus on two of them that I found very interesting. From my background, sustainability is really, really an important feature, and I think as we look in our design, we're talking about sustainability in two ways. A sustainable business model, but also just sustainable as far as the facility that we build. And then also, I thought it was bold and unique design concepts. I think that's something that we would like to try and incorporate in the design as we move forward. We have talked about the one-of-the-kind gem that we have. We're really lucky to have this building. And I believe that it truly has great bones. And it has some huge existing great inherent advantages. And these things cannot easily be obtained or recreated. And we're really, as an Elm Grove Women's Club, fortunate to have those. The one thing, if you remember on the survey that we took last May, we talked about some of these features as a facility, and location, you can't beat our location, it's superb. The parking area, a lot of downtown venues, parking would be very difficult to find. So our parking is really great. It's ample and it's convenient. We have this unique, cozy, historic setting. And we have these lovely, because Elm Grove is a tree city. We have these beautiful old trees and we're surrounded by this wonderful nature setting. And the ballroom, it has singular charm. So this is really a one-of-a-kind venue, totally unlike a lot of other sites, and it offers an experiential factor that is really, I believe, in demand. So what do we need? Well, it's pretty obvious. We need the ADA first floor restrooms, we need the parking lot replacement, we need renovations to make the facility accessible and welcoming, and it can be accomplished. I have great hopes that it can be accomplished with the appropriate funding. So just going to touch on the design process and the plan to ensure the financial healthy and prosperous future for the Elm Grove Women's Club. The committee that I've talked about really undertook careful study of the needs and the solution. And we took many steps to do this. And one of them I mentioned was the member survey. So I want you to know how important that information was, that you all filled in this survey, and we took that information to heart and prioritized what you told us in that survey. We also did a lot of benchmarking. We did utilization of the club. So we took all these factors and put them into the concept plan. So the things that we really found that we needed to address, again, were the ADA compliance and accessibility, the restrooms, and the deferred maintenance, including the indoor air quality. We explored a wide variety of maintenance and construction options for the clubhouse. We vetted lots of contractors, as I mentioned, and we developed conceptual design plans. And after much deliberation, we are pleased to make the following recommendations. So I hope that you can see this. I'm going to walk you through the plan, but don't worry. I do have copies of the plan, existing and proposed, in your folder. So I'm going to start at the top. Does my cursor show up at all? No, I'm going to do something. Let's just try this and hope it works. Wait, hope it works out. Yay! Okay, so on the right-hand side is the key design changes. So most important, to address accessibility. Our new front door is going to go to the Watertown Plank entrance, okay? We still retain the east entrance, but the ADA ramp is going to move to the front door. No longer are we going to walk through the kitchen to get people into, people end up in our kitchen when we're making coffee because they come up that rampway. We're going to reconfigure the stairway at the front entrance and make that foyer warm and welcoming. It's gonna be widened up so it's a gracious entry coming in. We're gonna have a coat closet where the office is right now in the front area. This area where the ladies are sitting right now with the bar set up, that is what we call the pre-function hall. That pretty much remains the same as a pre-function hall. This area right here will be the new office or the new hold the house area, but it also could be used as a dressing area, as a mother's room. It will be a flexible space. This number 4 here is an updated caterer's kitchen or a warming kitchen. Outside of it, number 5 will be a new loading area. So it will be a raised platform, so our caterers will be able to bring their trucks up to it and offload their trucks and their materials right into the kitchen. So the ballroom, there will be all updated finishes in the whole ballroom and pre-function hall. As we move over to the east entrance here, what is the major change is in a brick and mortar addition in this purplish color, number 7, are the new men's and women's room. So they will be accessed through a lounge area. So it's actually, if I point, it's right over in this location. So it will be accessed through number 8, which is the old coat closet. So you'll kind of go through a lounge area, which just pretend it is a wedding event. It could be a bridal area where the bride gets ready. That's the bridal area where she gets ready. And the men are going to be able to go downstairs because I'll show you the men's room downstairs in a minute. The stage, because we are touching more than 25% of the plan, we will have a lift in the audiovisual room, so you are able to access the stage through this blue little box here. That's a lift up to the stage. This existing office, which is off to this stage right here to my left, that will be what we're going to call the green room, but it could be also a flexible double function room as a team room or a committee room too. It doesn't, because it's not always going to be a green room. The dumpster will be relocated from its site currently to over to the west side because it's much more convenient to take trash out from that side of the building to the dumpster. Number 9 is also a new feature. There will be double doors where that mirror is, and it will go to an outdoor covered patio. So that will be a really wonderful feature for events to host little, functions, luncheons, for a wedding. It could be a cocktail party that's happening out on the outdoor patio. So I think I've covered all the features on that floor. And then on the lower level, the reconfigured stair is number 4. That bathroom, which is in that place, will actually be removed. The existing men's room downstairs will become a unisex bathroom, much like a Starbucks kind of bathroom. And then in the number 6 area, that will just be all new finishes. It'll get new ceiling, new tile, and the areas where I have number 5 and 4, those are the glass black windows that I was talking about. Those will actually be infilled, and some of those still will retain some daylight features if we feel like it's appropriate when we get to the final plans. So I think that closes on the design concept plans. So in summary, the renovation budget that I'm going to review in a minute accomplishes these 3 critical goals: the ADA compliance, the accessible restrooms, and the overall facility safety and comfort. It restores the integrity and maintains the beauty of our historic building, and it brings back the building to modern venue standards and expectations to ensure a viable business model and a sustainable club for our daughters, granddaughters, and our entire community. This, again, there is a lot of information here. This budget is in your folders. It is a draft budget. However, it is built on an estimate from one of the contractors that worked with us on our team. So these are numbers that are rather real, but we know what the construction market is like right now. It goes, materials are going up, so these change every day with material availability. This is built into 3 parts. There's a construction budget, which is this number right here, and it has these 7 components, which are things like building this brick and mortar addition, doing the ADA ramp outside, upgrading all of the finishes, doing the caterer's kitchen, doing the lift. That number is 1.9. I'm not gonna read all the decimal points. The next category is what I call owner project expenses. Typically in a renovation budget, we, outside of a contractor, will buy things as Elm Grove Women's Clubs. That's why it's in this category. So we have architectural and engineering costs. We have identified some remediation that needs to be done. We have some asbestos that's not friable, it's not dangerous right now, but when we open up ceilings, we will need to abate it. We have some mold that needs to be remediated yet. We'll buy some new audiovisual equipment. We have some furniture and other venue equipment to meet those modern venue expectations. So those numbers come to about $588,000. So the total building renovation budget is $2.5 million. However, let's not forget about the deferred maintenance. And we had that number, which is the $376,000. So for the total package, we're gonna wrap it up, and we have a slide that summarizes all of that. So we're talking about the total project budget of $2.943350. So that's where we are today. All of these 3 project budget slides are in your folder exactly like this. You'll be able to see this closer. And that's where we are. Now, I forgot to say, after Crystal wraps up, we will take a few questions, and then I'd like us to move over to the plans, and we'll hand out the folders, and we can take a few more questions there. But, so after Crystal finishes, we'll take some questions. Does that make sense? Okay.